G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Useless dosser. You've let a little steroid man come up from middleweight and set about you and take all your belts. But he's going to have to take a real British Lancaster bomber like me to go and relieve the useless little steadhead.
As you would have just seen there, Tyson Fury released a video on his Twitter, Instagram page in which he's on a treadmill running. He's discussing Anthony Joshua, and at the start of that video he's mentioning that AJ had all the belts. He lost them to Oleksandr Usyk, and basically he's saying he undone all the work Fury did in getting them away from Klitschko to Britain in the first place. And then he accuses, he says that AJ got beat up by a guy, you know. You heard what he said at that video. I don't want to be saying things just to trigger any algorithms or anything like that. But basically a middleweight to heavyweight, and making an accusation that maybe Oleksandr Usyk is on something. And then he said at the end that it'll be up to him to go and beat the something head and relieve him of the belts. Now, I had to stifle a laugh when I seen that, because I just thought that is rich. That's rich from Tyson Fury to accuse someone else of being on performance enhancers. And, you know, that is an accusation. He's saying that Usyk is a you-know-what head. And I just find that rich. Lest we forget, Tyson Fury, we know, say whatever you want to say, but we know for definite, it was February of 2015 in the Christian Hammer fight. It was going into that, apparently, was when he tested positive by UCAT for that. Was it nandrolone? Him and Huey, his cousin Huey Fury. And, you know, obviously in the Klitschko fight he was fine. But subsequently, it was bizarre, that whole situation, because it was February when he fought Hammer, and apparently that was when it happened, or it might have been the back end of 2014. But either way, it was in the build to the Hammer fight, which in February 2015. Nothing was said until I think the summer of 2016, in around that time, summer 2016. It was very late after the fact. But then obviously after that all came out, the rematch with Klitschko, I think did he fail another test, or did he just admit that he was on, you know, the old how you doing? So yeah, I do find that rich from Tyson Fury, that you know, he's accusing Usyk of being on something. And to be honest with you, right, Usyk and Lomachenko, for that matter, are two fighters who, if you said to me 99% of fighters are on PEDs, performance enhancers, I would say, yep, probably. I mean, I'd say it's probably rampant in the sport. I mean, we've seen fighters get favourable treatment for testing positive for, and they are performance enhancers. You know, the Canelo with tainted meat situation, the Oscar Valdez situation. What was that, a diuretic he popped for going into that fight against the name of the guy escaping? But the guy beat Oscar Valdez. What's his name? God almighty, I've forgotten now. It slipped my mind. I know who it is, but I just can't get his name out. But that wasn't the run up to that fight. The WB said, okay, yeah, that's all right. You can still fight the guy. Someone to leave his name. Conseil Sao got there in the end. Got there in the end. Delighted now with that. That's made my day. My achievement for the day. I figured out his name. But yeah, look, I well believe that 99.9% are on performance enhancing drugs. However, with Oleksandr Usyk, I do get the impression that he might be one of the rare few who isn't. When you look at Oleksandr Usyk, when you look at, well, the way they are in Ukraine, the way him and Lomachenko are very devout to their faith, the way they seem to, everything about them just seems to me that no, I'd say if I was to say who I think isn't, it would probably be someone like an Oleksandr Usyk, a Vasily Lomachenko, who isn't. And I do find it curious that, because that's very just random. Like, it's not like, you know, there's this people, put it like this, right? Dylan White about Anthony Joshua years ago, what was it, a T something E? It was an exemption for something in the British Boxing Board of Control. I think it was for testosterone builder or something like that. You know, we had Jarrell Miller, again, rich coming from him, but he was calling AJ, you know, oh, AJ was on this, that and the other, and he was on all kinds of everything, you know, accusing AJ of being on something when he was on something. I wonder, I'm not making any accusations, it's not me saying it, but I wonder, I doubt, to be honest with you, I'd actually say probably Tyson Fury. I'd be surprised if he is, because I'm sure he's watching his P's and Q's with regards, drug testing and stuff like that, following on from what happened all those years ago with the whole UCAD situation. But I just found that bizarre interview, I just found that video very bizarre, that like, he's trying to knock Usyk, but he's using that term, saying, almost accusing Usyk of being on something. And you want to be careful when you're throwing them kind of things around, because it's just the wrong person you say that about, and they'll have you sued pretty quickly. It's just that was a weird one, saying that the little you-know-what head, the little PED head, and I'll go and beat him. I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone put that accusation on Oleksandr Usyk. I wonder, Tyson Fury is apparently going to be fighting in March 26th. Against who, we shall see. Is it Dillian Whyte? I don't know. At this stage, I just do not know. We should probably know more by next week. I think it's next Monday or Tuesday the purse bids are due for that fight, so we'll wait and see by then. If it's not Dillian Whyte, they'll probably just get some contender out, probably like Hellenius or someone like that, for Fury to fight in the meantime. But the goal at the end of the day is undisputed. And I found a very interesting interview. There was an interview with Javon Sugar Hill, I think it was on IFL a little while back, and they were asking Sugar Hill about Tyson Fury and his mindset going into the Wilder trilogy fight, because Fury did not look in the best of shape, and he didn't say necessarily that Fury didn't do what I asked him, but he's kind of implying almost discreetly that Fury was not as switched on for that fight in terms of getting the most out of him in training as he was for the rematch. So the second fight with Wilder, he was more ready to go in that fight in terms of everything, his mindset, than he was in the third fight. I wonder, would he be the same way for Dillian Whyte? Or would Dillian Whyte be able to light that fire in Tyson Fury? Because we know Tyson Fury as a fighter is a kind of a on again, off again fighter, a bit like Billy Joe Saunders. When there's a big perceived threat, he rises to the occasion. When he's supposed to get rid of a guy and, have an easy time, tends to struggle. Tends to make a fight harder than needs be. So we shall see. But I said I'd just make this video a little bit of news to talk about. Fury accusing Usyk, or saying Usyk is a PED head. The Nandrolone situation is still fresh in people's minds. So I would say don't make accusations like that. People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. You ever hear that saying? There you go. That's my thoughts on that. Let me know yours in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, if you could, please smash the like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. We'll keep this one short and sweet, as you know. For now, lads and lasses, I'll talk to you. Peace.